Greetings, Virgo and Virgo rising. This is your Western forecast for 2024. 2024 is going to be a big transitional year, pushing us into a new, more favorable period of life. That is because the three outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, are changing signs. So that's the transition of changing the signs in 2024 with the new paradigm opening up and beginning next year. But I like to start with the here and the now on the more individual level. And I look to Jupiter and Saturn. The transit of Jupiter brings the promise, brings the growth, brings the opportunity. But then I also look to how's that relating to Saturn. Saturn is the work. Saturn can take the opportunities and manifest them. But Saturn also can represent being limited, I'm not enough. So it can also be where we're worried, where we're fearful, but it's all about facing our fears and moving through with what Saturn's lessons are bringing up. And that's also part of why Saturn is also the maturing energies. So Jupiter, expansive Jupiter, is a 12-year cycle, and it went into Taurus, which is an earth sign, very favorable for Virgo, an earth sign, in May of 2023. And it will be there through May the 25th, 2024, at which time Jupiter goes into Gemini for 1 year. But Saturn is a 29.5-year cycle. Taskmaster, serious, responsible Saturn went into Pisces in March of 2023, and it remains there until February 2026. Saturn is where we have to be realistic, face our responsibilities, do the work. Saturn can be a little heavy, a little negative at times. Jupiter overall tends to be more optimistic, more the promise. So let's start breaking this down. So Jupiter, every 12 years, is in Taurus. Went last May. So the first 5 months of 2024, expansive, lucky Jupiter is in Taurus, 9 signs past Virgo. The 9th is travel, and Jupiter is the traveling planet. So a lot of Virgos will be doing more traveling than usual, or finally going long distance to a foreign land, and that Jupiter brings a lot of luck and optimism. Jupiter is also the planet of seeking knowledge. It's education, it's teaching. That's what Jupiter represents. But Jupiter is the natural ruler of the 9th house. That's because the 9th sign of the zodiac is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So that's why Jupiter is the natural ruler of the 9th house. So the 9th house of travel, but also of higher education, teaching, publishing, marketing, and all these areas, Jupiter is bringing a lot of growth. The 9th house can also be dealing with legal matters. But the Jupiter brings protection. Now, Saturn, keeping all that Jupiter in mind, Saturn went into Pisces. Pisces is opposite Virgo. Opposite deals with a significant other. It's the sector of marriage, your partnership, contracts, could even be describing your clientele, your customer base. So it's the others that makes a real impact in your life. Saturn goes into the 7th, and again, it's there for the next couple of years, 2024, 2025. It is time that you need to you may be compelled to work, there's the Saturn, on your relationships. Or maybe it's a wake-up call to resolve it or let it go. But it's also a time of commitments, such as you could be dating somebody for 5 years. You hear these stories all the time. And if you're single, but you're dating, you're not in a marriage or committed relationships, the Saturn can then compel you to make a commitment, to get serious, to get married, or to realize to just, get on with it and let this other person go. So there is all this heavy responsibilities to take more commitment, more responsibilities in partnerships, in marriage, or to let it go. Now, Jupiter, let me back up. The 3 outer planets that are life-changing, I said, are at their last year, this year, shifting into new signs next year. So to have the three outer planets that trigger life-altering changes is in a big flux of change. Uranus is the planet of progress, innovation, technology. It's very breakthrough, exciting energy, or it's blowing things up to be able to let go of the past, move forwards. Because Uranus is also associated with revolutionary changes. So Uranus was in Taurus from 2018 until July 2025. When it was in Taurus, it was in your 9th house. From 2018. So there could be these unexpected major travel plans or disruptions with travel. That's the 9th house. You may suddenly decide to go back to school, or suddenly that's that Uranus energy, quit school. There might have just been some unexpected surprises and upsets with legal matters. That's the 9th house. But we have Jupiter in Taurus now, bringing resolutions, bringing protection. But I'm bringing it up because Jupiter's a 12-year cycle. Uranus is an 84-year cycle. So Jupiter, as it's going through all the 12 signs for 12 years, it will then catch up to Uranus in the 13th year. So every 13 years, expansive, lucky Jupiter crosses liberating, progressive Uranus. And every 13 years, it's pretty much in a different sign. So this Jupiter-Uranus alignment is happening April the 20th, 2024. But the world will be feeling this all of April, even into May. That could be Uranus is the unexpected, Jupiter is the luck, the prosperity, or travel. There could be major windfalls of money, of luck, of prosperity. That's that Jupiter-Uranus. Being in the 9th, which could also be legal matters, there could be a real breakthrough in a legal settlement that could maybe bring in a windfall of monies, especially when I get to the karmic north node is transiting your 8th house of settlements and financial gifts. So that Jupiter-Uranus in April is trying to bring in some really exciting new directions. It's at 21 degrees of Taurus. So if you have any planet within a degree or two of 21 Taurus, or the opposite, Scorpio or trining the Capricorn, the Virgo, you're going to really feel it more directly and more optimistically. But let's now go to Jupiter, then goes into Gemini, May the 25th, 2024, for 1 year into June of 2025. Jupiter, when it goes into Gemini, Gemini is 10 signs past Virgo. So that expansive, fortunate, optimistic Jupiter is later this year, May the 25th, is moving into your 10th of career matters. That could bring a lot of advancement and promotions for many of you. Jupiter could also indicate, because it's always seeking knowledge, getting some more professional training with your work. There could be a lot of traveling, Jupiter for business, the 10th house. But Jupiter is all this expansiveness. The 10th house can also be dealing with your professional reputation, your visibility in the world, with career matters. So some Virgo rising with that Jupiter every 12 years could bring you more fame, more recognition. So that Jupiter in the 10th every 12 years is going to be overall favorable for bringing you opportunities to grow and advance in career. But Jupiter, when it goes into Gemini, Gemini forms a stressful angle to Pisces. Saturn's in Pisces. Now, the Jupiter is going to be restricted or blocked by Saturn, but only in August of 2024. And I think with Jupiter in the 10th house of careers at odds with Saturn in the 7th house of partnerships or customers, that there might be a crisis, a challenge with your partner, with your customer base, that you're having to really rethink and reorganize before then moving on. So there could be a bit of a setback, but we're only talking the month of August. And the bigger picture is really favorable, which goes now is where I want to start talking about the karmic north node and south node. So I briefly said that the karmic north node is transiting every 18 and a half years your 8th house. Your 8th house is the house of finance, financial gifts, inheritance, settlements on the financial area. And it's also the 8th house can be dealing with transformation, with astrology, psychology. Now, the karmic north node is called karmic because it's more not in your free will. The Jupiter-Saturn is more ego-oriented. Like, the Jupiter can bring you an opportunity, but you may decide you're not ready, you're afraid. It doesn't push you in the really positive Jupiter directions without, your permission. And the Saturn is where you might be very fearful and resistant. Now, the North Node is an 18 and a half year cycle through all the signs. And on one hand, it has this karmic influence because it's bigger than your free will. It's bigger than your ego. And it's this energy that is just sweeping you towards this new future direction. And everybody, it's going to be different because everybody is also, Virgo and Virgo risings with this karmic north node in your 8th house you have your own individual horoscope where all the planets are very different from other horoscopes. And so this karmic north node will play out in many ways. But the bigger picture is this big transformational energy of the 8th house. And in more pragmatic matters, it's dealing with financial matters. And with the karmic north node, it's going to be the sense of being at the right place at the right time. Maybe with that Jupiter-Uranus in the 9th of legal matters, you come into a major win with a lawsuit, and there's the karmic north node in the 8th house of settlements. The south node is always opposite the north node. The south node is what we need to let go or reorganize, and opposite the 8th house is the 2nd house of your personal monies. The 8th house is more dealing with your partner's monies, your profession, your financial responsibilities, taxes, insurance. So there's a lot of this thrust moving forwards, but that could also mean with the south node that there could be some reorganization going on with your spending habits and your cash flow. Now, that karmic north node went into Aries in July of 2023 until January 2025. So all of 2024, that karmic north node is moving through the 8th house of finance, but also transformation, major endings and new beginnings. But it's all going to feel like it's part of destiny. Now I want to discuss these 3 outer planets that I said at the top of this video. The outer planets are life-changing. It's not just a good year, a bad year. It makes some permanent change. Uranus is this progressive, liberating energies. It's an 84-year cycle. It went into Taurus, what I talked about with Jupiter in your 9th, from 2018. And it leaves Taurus in July of 2025 and goes into Gemini, into your 10th house of career matters for the first time in 84 years. I'll get back to this in a minute. Neptune is in Pisces in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. That began in 2012, and it is at the end of April 2025. It's moving out of Pisces, out of your 7th of relationships, into Aries, into your 8th house of the occult, psychology, but also financial matters. But Neptune, this year, moves up to the last degree of Pisces. Then it retrogrades, then it starts to move forwards, and it doesn't move into the next sign of Aries till the end of April 2025. But since 2012, with Neptune in the 7th, in the positive, this could have been falling in love and feeling really dreamy and romantic. That's considered positive sides of Neptune. Or some of you might have been falling in love with love and not really paying attention to who the real person is. So when the fantasy romantic fog clears, you might have been very disappointed that who you thought you were falling in love with is somebody completely different. That's a possibility of Neptune. But there's a lot of transition with relationships. And so that's been going on since 2012. Pluto went into Capricorn in 2008. And the end of this year, 2024, it moves fully into Aquarius. First time in 243 years. So when Pluto was in Capricorn, that started in 2008. It was in your 5th house. Pluto's all this endings and new beginnings, major life changes. The fifth house can be dealing with children, which can certainly be very life-changing. The fifth house could be creative. You could be getting really involved or manifesting entertainment, your creative directions, which is also the same area of the chart with sports. So it doesn't have to, there couldn't be this big turning point with entertainment, could also be a big turning point with sports. Now, Pluto started to leave Capricorn and briefly went into Aquarius the end of March, beginning of June 2023. Then it retrograded back into Capricorn, making sure you've learned your lessons. Mid-January 2024 through May, so these first 5 months, Pluto is back into Aquarius. But come June, it retrogrades back into Capricorn, tying up any loose ends, making sure we've gotten it right. Then at the end of November 2024, Pluto is back into Aquarius for nearly 20 years. Now, when Pluto goes into Aquarius, and you've already had previews of it from last year, the first 5 months of this year, you're going to get stronger clues of what that Pluto in Aquarius is about, and it's moving into your sixth house. Now, the sixth house can deal with your job. You could be making a major change in your job, but you could also be going from an employee to an employer. But the sixth house can also be dealing with body maintenance. And Virgos are kind of health conscious signs in general. And so this Pluto moving into Aquarius could also be a real major shift and change with your with body maintenance, your diet, healthcare, etc. Now, why this is so important, why am I bringing it up, is Uranus next year. So this year it's at the last full year of Taurus. Next year in July it goes into Gemini, an air sign, moving into your career sector. Pluto goes into Aquarius full time the end of this year. Aquarius is an air sign. So transformational Pluto will be in harmony with progressive, innovative Uranus, both in air signs. Air is more ideas and more intellectual energies, communications, a lot of advancements with communications. Now we have Neptune, and Neptune is moving into your 8th house come the end of April when it moves into Pisces, April 2025. So there could then be, with the 8th house, all these joint ventures, financial responsibilities, but the Neptune is going to be in Aries, a fire sign, which is very harmonious or compatible with air signs. Air is the fuel to heat up the fire, to keep the fire burning. The fire heats up the air to keep the ideas and the personal freedoms expanding. So these 3 life-altering outer planets are changing signs, but they're all into so we're in a big transition this year. In next year, they're all going to be moving into very harmonious signs with each other. And the other big clue that brings me a lot of optimism is Pluto is a 243-year cycle. Neptune's 166 years, Uranus is 84 years, but Pluto's about death and rebirth. Pluto is this very powerful transformational energy, changing, goes through all the signs every 243 years. So the last time Pluto was, when it was moving from Capricorn into Aquarius, was when the French and the American revolutions were going on. And that was also, as we were moving into Aquarius, that was also the grand experiment developing in America called democracy. Aquarius also represents technology and advancement, and we were in the throes of the Industrial Revolution with new technology, new technical advancements. But the big thing with Aquarius, it's personal freedoms. We're all equal, and that's where the democracy is coming in, and that's what was being born 243 years ago. And this would explain, with the French and the American Revolution and all the death and destruction, but that had a purpose that saved mankind, if you will. That's what's happening now. From 2023, when Pluto started to move into Aquarius briefly, we're having the Russian-Ukrainian war, and now the Hamas-Israeli war, and there's, all this destruction and upheaval. But what happened 243 years ago when the dust settled was moving us into a much better cycle for mankind. Well, Pluto will be there in Aquarius for nearly 20 years, and it's going to be this overall push of development for more personal freedoms for everybody in the world. There'll always be dictators and autocrats, because that's the shadow of the light of freedoms and democracy. But with the Pluto, there's going to be more of a compulsive push by the masses to have democracy be stronger than fascism. And that's why I'm really optimistic, and that's why it explains to me the chaos, because history repeats itself, remember? And what happened the last time Pluto was changing from Capricorn to Aquarius had a really favorable outcome. So I want to thank you for watching. If you'd like information on how to book an astrology reading or to sign up for my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.co. That's .co. Until next year, be safe and well.